Barakatul Yahweh, Barakatul Yahweh Shai, Barakatul Yahweh, Barakatul Yahweh Shai, Barakatul Yahweh, Barakatul Yahweh Shai, Call Halayim Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Wa Rahak Wadash, Mamanya, Wa Rahak Wadashka, Laha, the Kwa, Malapenyaka, Tha, Salakanya, Babakusha, Babakusha, Babakusha. Shemai, Yasharala, Yahweh, Allahayanawa, Yahweh, Achad, Tuwab, Tuwab, Amen. This lesson is the Temple of Baal. This will be a quick hit. It won't be long at all. Just an imagery of the Temple of Baal. Without further ado, Shalom Israel, Kwam Yasharala. And this is where they did human sacrifices, child sacrifices, and worship of this deity, this false god, this image, this false deity, false idol, Baal. This is where they did all their evil works at, and it's still erected today. That's the arch of it, where you have a lot of this symbolism all over the Americas. These pillars, symbolism. And these relics are over 2,000-3,000 years old, and it's been destroyed. They blew it up because of the practices that were done. But you let Idumea tell it, they're just blowing up artifacts and history. But this was blown up because this was a temple of worshiping false deities. That's why it's destroyed. In Syria, the Middle East. Imagery, sacrifices that were done in ancient times.
3,000 years ago, in what is modern-day Lebanon, lived one of the most sophisticated people of the ancient world, the Phoenicians. At its height, the Phoenician Empire rivaled the great civilizations of ancient Egypt, Greece, and Rome. But is there a dark side to this enigmatic people?
May have been destroyed on October the 5th, but a 5-metre-high replica has gone on show in Trafalgar Square in London, from where it will go on to Dubai and New York before, hopefully soon, it can replace the original in Palmyra itself. The Mayor of London said the replica was of huge symbolic value.
We want also to show defiance of the know-nothing nihilist maniacs who tore it down. This thing stood for 2,000 years. Everybody came and invaded or conquered that part of the world. The Greeks, Alexander the Great, the Romans, you name it, the Christians, the Muslims. No one until Daesh, the so-called Islamic State, thought it was worth demolishing.
With Palmyra now back in government hands, the arch may soon stand again, but it will never be the same.
It's nothing like the real thing. It's nice that it's here and people thinking about Palmyra. I was there before all the destruction occurred, and it really is heartrending to see what's happening. It's sheer ignorance, basically.
While ISIL controlled the ancient city, it's reported to have also sold off artifacts on the antiques black market, so many pieces of looted treasure may turn up in years to come.
The Israelites picked a guy named Omri to be their king, and that he did more evil than all the kings that came before him. After Omri, his son Ahab becomes king of Israel. Ahab married a Phoenician princess named Jezebel, and they participated in the fertility cults of Baal and Asherah. Kings states that the Israelites picked a guy named Omri to be their king, and that he did more evil than all the kings that came before him. After Omri, his son Ahab becomes king of Israel. Ahab married a Phoenician princess named Jezebel, and they participated in the fertility cults of Baal and Asherah. By the time of Ahab and Jezebel, the fertility cults appeared to already have the official sanction of Israel's leaders, and Ahab, with his wife's encouragement, built a temple to Baal at his capital in Samaria.
This is the Bible's explanation for the name Yahweh. There are certain important and unique features of this burning bush dialogue. First, God identifies himself to Moses as the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He reveals to Moses a new name, Yahweh, so that Yahwism and the Yahweh cult can be said to begin only with Moses. Exodus 6, verses 2 to 4, very important passage. Exodus 6, verses 2 to 4. And here God says, I am Yahweh. I appeared to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob as El Shaddai, but I did not make myself known to them by my name, Yahweh.
וארא אל אברהם, אל יצחק ואל יעקב באל שדי, ושמי אדוני לא נודעתי להם.
Now this contradicts the J source. And many scholars have suggested that P and E preserve a memory of a time when Israel worshipped the Canaanite god El. P and E wish to claim that the God who covenanted with the patriarchs is the God of the Exodus, but now with a new name. God is 6 times called El Shaddai. Other names are El Elyon, El Olam, El Roi, El Bethel. You can see the translations of these. The everlasting God, God Most High, a God of seeing, the God of the house of God, and so on. El is the name of the chief god in the Canaanite pantheon. It's an important set of texts that were discovered at a place called Ras Shamra. Ras Shamra was ancient Ugarit. In 1928, a peasant in Syria discovered a tomb at Ras Shamra, which was subsequently excavated by the French, and it was found to contain a library of tablets that were written in a language very, very close to Biblical Hebrew. It's clear that Hebrew is simply a Canaanite dialect. In fact, I remember reading one scholar said if you go back far enough, you're really hard-pressed to tell the difference between Canaanite and Hebrew. And in these texts, we read of the exploits of the gods of Canaanite religion. These gods include the sky god El, as listed here, the father of the various gods and humans. El has a wife, Asherah, she's listed 3rd on your paper, a mother goddess, their daughter Anat, who is a goddess of love and war, she's quite fierce, and then their son Baal, who is a storm god.
Talk about Baal. In this picture here is the Arch of Baal that they actually, a copy that they actually erected in New York City. One of the signs that shows you that this country is involved deeply in Baal worship. But I was going to show you some other stuff too to kind of let you know who Baal was, and essentially the worship to Baal. So here we are in Jeremiah chapter 32. It says, "And they built high places of Baal, which are in the valley of the son of Hinnom, to cause their sons and daughters to pass through the fire of Molech, which I did not command them, nor did it come to my mind that they should do this abomination to cause Judah to sin." All right, so what we're seeing here is this is one of the places in the Bible that ties Molech to Baal.
Appear in the land. Could the sign of Baal, the sign of a nation that has turned away from God, a nation that has embarked on defiance of God and judgment, could that sign appear in this land.
And learn from those scriptures? Just before Israel was to cross the Jordan into the Promised Land, we read in Numbers how Israel was joined to Baal Peor.
The Bible tells us many times to never do this and come under the influence of Baal and his demons. When someone tells you to consult mediums and spiritists who whisper and mutter, should not a people inquire of their God? Why consult the dead on behalf of the living? Isaiah 8:19. Distressed and hungry, they will roam through the land. When they are famished, they will become enraged, and looking upward will curse their king and their God. Then they will look toward the earth